We're not going in a room, please.
No.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So I had to do a bit
with the
of,
room.
she means there's separate rooms for you.
I
all
know,
to
right?
dis-
What's wrong? What's wrong with that? Nobody's
No, I'm
telling you anything.
I'm claustrophobic. It's only 4
On
people
your-
in the room. I get
On your
Actually,
room, the
some
real
of the
room is
questions are a little bit difficult perhaps to answer. At least some of them are. So it might be asking too much for you all to come up with the answers yourselves. But for as a group, it might be a little bit more easier for us. Because I've just been looking up these answers to these questions. What I have to do is because I've got a soft copy of Sudha Bhakti Chintamani, but it doesn't have the questions in. So I go to the hard copy and I find the question on the page it is, then I go to the soft copy and find it there, and I have to copy it and I have to paste it. So I've been doing that the last half an hour along with. Anyway, let's begin, shall we? Namo Om Vishnu Vada Krishna Vistai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vichaline Nivasisha Sunyavadi Pashtatara Satarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so as far as I know, looking at last week's video, last week's vid, we got up to here. Yeah, we answered these questions. Yeah, this is on the subject of offenses. So now we're gonna, that continues. Does that, anybody else can confirm this is where we are at?
I don't know. Was it how?
Anyway, we will recognize as I'm pretty sure
I
we
think,
are here.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think I heard that. You're right, Muli Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what I do is
Question 5.
we did question 5.
Yeah, and we did question 6.
Okay, and 7, 8, and 9.
I don't know. Are the process? Yeah, we did
No,
7. And,
we did. So I think we're here.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just reading the answers. Okay, so let's see together if we can divine, if we can come up with the answers to these questions. A bit of a good overview of the Sudha Bhakti Chintamani. See what we remember, what we can recall. So here's a question. While trying to atone for offenses, why do devotees find difficult the same spiritual practices that they once found easy? Okay.
Why? What was it? Why?
Trying
Yeah.
to atone.
Number 10. Okay, number 10. Why trying to?
Yeah. So, for example, basically, devotees will lose their taste for the different angas, the different practices of bhakti. Yeah. Even though they are atoning for, asking for forgiveness, and aware of the offenses they made, they're trying to rectify them. They've asked for forgiveness, but still, the taste might not be there.
So they lose taste because of offenses, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Then to get back, they have to just chant. And
Yeah, let's just read the question. While trying to atone for offenses, why do devotees find difficult the same spiritual practices they found easy? The question is, the answer is quite simple, actually.
yeah.
They haven't got the devotee association, or they refused devotee association.
Yeah, but Yeah, but it's more, if you look at the holy name as a person,
They've
Yeah.
lost their yeah. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, what do we sometimes we might experience that where someone says something unpleasant to us, they do something unpleasant, knowingly or unknowingly. What do we sometimes do to or with that person?
The time is the healer.
Forgive,
Yeah.
we
But-
forgive
Yeah.
the person.
Basically, we may neglect them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone that offends you and you really hurt, then you may, and if yeah, you may neglect them. So the holy name's the same.
Ah, yes.
Interesting. Although he's a person, so if you make offenses, then he will neglect the devotee for some time, and the spiritual practices which he or she used to do and get taste from, there won't be any taste because the holy name is neglecting one. It sounds
Sorry,
interesting.
Mali Prabhu. Can you just repeat? Is it you're saying that holy name is he? That's what you said before. I didn't
Well,
hear
the
that.
holy name's a person. If you
Person.
try
Yeah.
to look at it as a deity, as a
Yeah.
reverential
Yeah.
deity.
Okay.
So if you make offenses to the holy name, it's not just like a mechanical thing where you say sorry, then straight away you're going to get a taste again. Like it takes some time to win the favor and the mercy of the holy name, but you just keep chanting, then gradually the actual taste will actually come.
Come back. Yeah.
Yeah, and for sure, devotees, we might have experienced that in our spiritual lives. A lot of you have been practicing 10, 15, 20 years, and you may have inadvertently or overtly offended a devotee. And even if you say sorry, it's still some time before you may get the same taste again. Depends on the severity of the offense. But the taste will come, but we have to be patient and we have to be sincere. Remember Jaydev one time in the lunch program, he was explaining that he made an offense to someone. And he said he had to go nearly 2 years without a taste, 2 or 3 years without a taste. But because he's sincere, he knew why, and he kept on engaging in bhakti, kept on serving, kept on chanting. Yeah. Then eventually, the same taste he had before came back. So that's the answer to that question. While trying to atone for offenses, why do devotees find difficult the same spiritual practices they once found easy? Because the holy name neglects them, basically. The mercy of the holy name withdraws. Interesting, because the holy name is very merciful. But there's
Oh,
Yeah.
can I ask something?
yes, Nima Mati, she's our questioner.
No, Prabhu, I was thinking, the people who fall away without practicing also mainly maybe due to this more than the regulative principles, offending the devotees.
People who fall away.
Devotees who fall away sometimes
Yeah.
stop chanting, or even the sannyasis or whatever, like whoever. So possibly this is the most dangerous offense, that is why this is happening. And then
Which
try to
specific offense? You mean the offense to the holy name, the 10 offenses?
yeah, especially for the atone for offenses. Yeah, the same question that I'm just going to ask a question on top of this question. So can we address this question also with that, what I'm asking?
If I've understood the question, I haven't understood the question.
Okay.
Sorry, try.
Prabhu, there are sannyasis who has fallen, like, I can't say nobody, everybody is fallen basically, who can't,
Yeah,
who
they fall away from the principles of devotional practice.
yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
got that.
Yeah. So this could be the reason, because
It could
especially
be a reason.
especially offenses to devotees.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah,
Offenses. So offense to devotee is one of the 10 offenses to the holy name.
yeah,
Yeah. Consider an offense to blasphemy devotees who dedicate their lives to the propagation of holy name. Yes, so definitely. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Well, can I ask you something as well?
Yes. Yes.
You know, like our spiritual path sometimes is up and down, up and down.
Yes.
In
Yes.
that way. So does it mean like, you know, some days if good, some days our chanting is okay and not that. So does it mean we offended someone then as well? Because we're doing our sadhana, we're trying to do, obviously the circumstances, you're at family and this and that happens. So does it mean actually we offended, or it's because
No.
of the family life or something? Is it that or what?
No. No. It could be various reasons. Generally, if we're sincere, Krishna we will know if we've upset someone, at least knowingly. We will be able to identify that. That will be quite clear to us, and we shouldn't try and fool ourselves. That will be quite clear. But it may be for various reasons. It may be at the other end, like Krishna wants to increase our desire for him. That's the way Krishna entices us to actually go forward, where he may reveal something, give us some mercy, give us some nectar, so to speak, as we call it. We experience some devotion within our heart, but then we seem to be in a desert where things seem to dry up. Yeah. And then we always reflect on the taste we had. And there's a chapter in Venu, in 10th canto, I think it is, and my Guru Maharaj, he writes on it. It's called How Krishna Reciprocates. And it's based on the chapter where Krishna goes away from the rasa dance and the gopis are in separation. And then he comes back, and the chapter's called The Reunion. And they ask him questions, and they're accusing him of being a guru druk, being heartless, not caring. And they're asking him, why do you do this? And in essence, Krishna answers, in just like a poor man who comes into wealth and then loses it, he can think of nothing else but that wealth which he had. So sometimes it may be because of that. Sometimes it may be just the influence of the modes of material nature. I think, as you alluded to, may be affecting us. Sometimes we may be distracted. Various reasons. It doesn't always mean it's an offense. It's just
thank you.
Yeah. It's just, it may be because we are still have anatas as a conditioned soul. So we're not always going to be experiencing ruchi. Perhaps we haven't got to that stage where we're sufficiently purified to always be tasting the name, always be tasting the nectar of Krishna consciousness. We may still have a dirty heart, so it will come and go. So that's just a natural progressive stage. But there is a stage where the heart's sufficiently cleansed, where one's always feeling spiritually enlightened or spiritually enlivened. But that's also very deep as well. Sometimes, as I said, Krishna may seem to step back from a devotee, so they're hankering for it. Anyway, to answer your question, it doesn't always mean an offense.
And you're always sincerely serving the Lord,
Yeah, we just carry on.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
It's definitely we're being unrealistic if we want to always experiencing the higher or experiencing rapture and devotion 24/7. Asking a bit much. It doesn't.
Probably that's a stage of prema, isn't it? That's it, and you don't want nothing else. But
yeah, that's a whole different subject.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks ever so much.
Okay.
question on this about offending.
Yeah,
Sometimes you try to guide people or correct people in if they are serving, if they're not serving, the spoon is touching the plate, or you say something to them that we don't do this. So is that, I mean, then that person gets hurt. So is that an offense on their part? But on my part, it would be like I'm correcting them or I'm guiding them. So how one person takes as an offense, the other person thinks they are trying to correct them.
anybody else?
From an offense?
Anyone? Yeah, perhaps we'll put this question out to our learned assembly.
We have the
Well,
same.
1 second, let's let Mavalabanga go first, then
Okay.
Chandravali.
I was just thinking that yeah, when you say something to somebody and they don't like it, it just means that they don't really sincerely want to serve Krishna the way Krishna wants to be served. Because
Yeah.
if somebody says this is the right way to do it, and you sincerely want to serve Krishna the right way, then you would say, yeah, that's great, thank you.
So I think Mavalabanga is saying really it's the error is on the part of the receiver of that instruction who didn't receive it in good spirit. They received it in false ego.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
your intent wasn't to criticize. Your intent is to teach,
Yes.
is to help. But they may not take it that way. So that's not an offense on your side.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thanks, Labanga.
Prabhu,
Chandravali, do you have something else to add?
No, I was thinking the same thing is when you trying to correct, because we have the same thing. I have to advise Deepika quite often because she is really good with what goes on, and if things are not right, she just says it.
Oh yeah.
Which is very good, because even if she can't see something like, but if somebody's put the flowers out in the wrong way, or there's boga in the prasad and they've not washed their hands, so she will say, to me, I said to her, as long as you are doing it with putting Krishna in the center, it's for Krishna, then it's not an offense on your part, you know.
Yeah.
But as long as you yourself know how you, if you said it with an ego, no, but don't do it like that, you know, like I'm somebody in charge or something, then it's wrong. But if you
No,
say,
but you just say just nicely that, oh, make sure that it doesn't touch the
no,
plate.
even if it's not nicely, it's because your thoughts are that it's for Krishna. This is Krishna's plate, this is Krishna's spoon. It should not be put like that. You don't touch this muchi thing to this. If you have Krishna in the center, have you say, it's nice to say nicely, but you have to be firm. Because
But then people find that you are unapproachable because now they are getting a bit, you know, tensed on it, and you keep on thinking, oh, I shouldn't have said it, let them carry on. And I can't do that. I have to say you can't do this because somebody else comes from outside and they are going to see this and they would think this Muchi and Suchi is not working here, you know.
That's fine. Like if you're senior member of the community, it's your duty to train devotees, especially new devotees, and they may not take it, but that's their loss actually. As long as you're doing it, you know, not with a sense of ill, with a sense of if your intent is to train,
you just train to start with rather than form bad habits, because the bad habits come from home anyway. So over here they follow the same system.
Yeah, so but that's a case of again, different subject, but that's a case of management. Like you have to manage specific devotees. If you know devotees, some devotees have a strong sense of reading this today of I-ness and mindness, and they're relatively young in devotional service, then if you give them, there's many things they're doing wrong, but if you tell them too much too soon, they won't be able to digest it. So it depends on the individual.
Yes,
you know, because you don't want to be correcting them every minute, every half an hour, because then they will be disheartened.
Sure. No, it
Although
happens.
what they're doing wrong, although they're doing everything wrong, you may have to temper the instructions that you give them in order that they stay encouraged. You know, but you should continue with the teaching and instructing them. You shouldn't not instruct them and guide them, because that's your duty as a senior in the community, is to share your knowledge of etiquette, share your knowledge. You know, but you might have to temper how much you give one particular individual, how many, yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, you get disheartened. You know.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
no
Very-
problem. Yeah, we've had that experience in a brahmachari ashram. Then generally a new devotee joins, and every step they do, they're doing things wrong. Every step, really. So, but then we have a kind of a rule is that then I will not correct them unless it's something drastic that needs correcting there on the spot. But then I will go to the person who's looking over them. I say, oh, so and so, I saw him doing this, I saw him doing that. You know, I saw him during Guru Puja, then he's here, he's there, he's not there. He does this and this and that. And then they will, in their one-to-one, they will bring it up, and bring it up in a way which will keep them encouraged. Anyway, it's a great art. But the main thing is we shouldn't act out of vengeance or false ego. Just like, you know, it's not, because people in the profession, in the materialistic world, persons are in a bad headspace and they criticize with intent, you know, and their mood is not one of teaching and uplifting. It's just criticizing for criticizing's sake because they're envious, you know. That we're not interested in. Yeah, that, you know, that will be offensive. If you're just in a rotten mood and you're in a bad mood and you're just you're getting on someone's case, then that will be offensive.
Yeah, because I don't say it the first time. I just look 3-4 times, and then I would just say quietly that this is not how we do it.
Right.
But
knowing Mother Vishani, I don't think you have to worry. I'm not making offenses.
so I'm thinking about the offense that I am committing. Is it an offense that I'm committing?
No, it's not. It's not. That's that's unless you hit them over the head with the back of a spoon.
Okay.
Plate on the head. Don't touch the. I told you not to touch the bang. That would be an offense. Yeah. Okay. So another question. This is a similar question actually. Why do devotional acts performed with difficulty by devotees atoning for their offenses bestow so little spiritual strength? Let me just read this here. I should read the answer. I should make this one a bit easier. It follows that, because I think we've touched on it, it follows that neglected devotees do not enjoy full reciprocation from their practice. That means they're neglected by the holy name. They do not enjoy full reciprocation from their practice of the limbs of devotion. They are actually deprived of the full potency. For these reasons, Vaishnavas who have committed offenses get neither taste nor strength from their devotional activities. So more or less the same thing. And then Raj mentions like offenses like a fever. Someone's got a fever, then they cannot eat. Yeah. So during a high fever of reaction to offenses, one loses even a desire to hear and chant. But as the fever goes down, the taste for food comes back. So as the effects of offenses lessen, a slight taste for devotional activities returns again. Then you're reinstated. Yeah, and there's more here, but anyway, yeah. Marge mentions, just as food cannot give its full nutritional value if someone's in weak health, so devotional activities will not get the full potency while the effects linger. Yeah. So then he mentions only the diet of prasadam and the medicine of the holy name and hearing can actually cure this disease. Okay, we'll just carry on hearing. And number 12, what happens to devotees who make no effort to rectify their offenses? Okay. Envision that. Envision that someone makes no, they're even so kind of, there may be so much false ego that they don't even recognize they make offenses, as though every other Vaishnava in the community is telling them quite clearly, you have made an offense. But they may have all types of justifications and reasons, you know, and therefore they will not make any effort to rectify, either asking for forgiveness or changing their behavior. What happens to them? Any
They have to
suggestions?
be in, do service, be in association of devotees and
Chant.
chant.
No, but I'm saying, well, what will happen to them? What will generally happen? Not like what should they do?
Oh, okay. What will happen?
Or when they don't
Sometimes they do
rectify.
right.
They would lose chanting and they will give up
Yeah,
chanting.
Maya overtakes.
Sorry, Mother Sarchari, I heard your voice.
Maya overtakes.
Maya overtakes, yes, definitely.
Lose the taste, as we
Lose the
discussed
taste,
already, yeah, of chanting.
Well, I
chanting.
think as well, Murli Prabhu, how long they've been serving, sometimes if they're new devotee, if things are not right, they just want to leave the movement as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the right line. What's a classic example of a chronic offender in the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
The one who was telling Mahaprabhu about his eating habits.
Yeah, anyone know his name? Remember his name?
So,
Gopal Chapal.
Ramachandra
Ramachandra.
Puri,
Ramachandra Puri, yeah.
who happened to be a disciple of who?
Madhvendra.
Venda Puri.
Yeah.
And he offended his spiritual master. As you know, he asked him to meditate on Brahman when he was leaving, when Madhavendra Puri was leaving. So, yeah, now they become chronic offenders. They become chronic, like Marja mentions, Ramachandra Puri, who actually eventually became a Mayavadi, as far as I can remember. He became and especially when all the devotees in Puri, whenever they would see him, they would all become very, basically, you wouldn't be very happy at all. Just to see him filled them with dread, you know. And when he left, they was in celebration. They was all very happy when he left. But they were supposed to feel happy when we see a devotee. But of course, this person proved himself to be a non-devotee. And Marge mentions that they uproot, interesting, it could be a discussion, they uproot their devotional creeper. Then they take shelter of offensive philosophies. And he mentions they become thorns in the side of true Vaishnavas. Now, I don't know personally, but I know of devotees who are like that. Could say, quote unquote, devotees. That's questionable. But they're chronic. They're like thorns in the side of our ISKCON society or our communities, constantly. It's got to such a, I think the personification of offense is this back to Prabhupada organization, we won't go into it anymore, but they are, they have their own concocted philosophy, and they're just a thorn in the side of the Vaishnava community. And I just read here. In short, the offenses of devotees who refuse to repent and subdue their offensive tendencies go to seed and sow countless more seeds and even more virulent offenses. These seeds fructify first as offenses to their peers, their equals, then to their gurus, then to their seniors, and finally to the Supreme Lord himself. Thus, wherever they roam, they are residents of hell. So anyway, that's what happens to devotees who do not make, or persons do not make any effort to rectify their offenses. They become, anyway, I think we get the idea.
Do you think the Muli Prabhu they do deliberately, or they just don't want to know, or they just want to block it?
Well, they're just in ignorance. The false ego is so kind of, they're so in ignorance. They have such a false conception of themselves. You know, they will probably don't even admit that they've made an offense. They will say, I haven't made an offense. Everyone's offended me. And it's quite a mess. So it's difficult to speak about a mess. It's such a mess. I mean, where do you start? Someone's chronic offender like that, like Ramachandra Puri.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, can I say
Yes.
something here, Prabhu? It's not a question. I was thinking, I think recent past, we all always speak about introspection, at least once in a week. If you do introspections, what are your dealings and where you went wrong and how you acted, how others acted, and even others have done a mistake, but how you reacted. See, if you do all that,
I think that's what most devotees do naturally anyway.
yeah,
We always do. Most devotees are very, first and consider, very careful about the interactions. Sometimes the modes of material nature might just pull the rug from under our feet, and we might react, kind of not in a very nice way. But then we reflect and we make amends, and we, you know. But yeah, that's a good point, Movani.
Prabhu, although you say yes, devotees do it, but then if the devotees are doing that, this number 12 won't be a question, isn't it?
I missed the end of that.
I said this question is number 12 is what happens to devotees who make no effort to rectify their offenses. So until unless you don't introspect, if you don't, then you will know, you will not understand your mistake because you are totally covered, as you mentioned, you are very ignorant.
Yeah, that's it. So you uproot the creeper, the very creeper, you uproot the creeper of devotion, and one may become chronic. But generally what happens is generally Krishna picks them out of the association of devotees and takes them away, drops them somewhere. Yeah, Krishna inspires them to leave the association of devotees. Yeah, Krishna kind of just takes them out, takes them away, you know. But that they think, oh, I know, so I know, I'm leaving this, so I'm leaving this community, I'm leaving this association, I'm leaving here. But really, they're not leaving. Krishna's telling them, time to go. All right, let's go on to another question. If simply by chanting Hare Krishna, we automatically become lovers of Krishna, why should we take the trouble to learn about anarthas, offenses, and the stages of devotional achievement, let's say? Got a question? Just chant Hare Krishna. What are you worried about? Just chant Hare Krishna. There's anarthas there, so many anarthas. Don't worry, just chant Hare Krishna. Is that okay?
No.
No.
If we know
Not
the
at all.
answer, we should rectify it.
That's like an elephant bath.
Yes, and Mother Rajkishore is saying, no, we should rectify, as I think as we already allured to before as well.
And how are we going to advance in our spiritual path as well?
Yeah,
The
it
hindrance
also
for
helps
us.
to, it also helps to understand where exactly we are and which direction we are going.
Yeah, so how are we
Like a
going
path.
to advance?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are we going to advance if we don't know the dangers?
path.
Exactly, yeah. Mm.
And
All the
Sachari,
anartha.
just repeat again, Sachari Mother, you said?
Just to know, having a knowledge like which direction we are going, these are the markers, like whether we are on the right path or not.
Yeah, being aware. So
Yeah.
in one sense, it should be common sense, should be natural. If you're going on a journey or you're going somewhere, you want to know the dangers, you want to know what to avoid. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Very good. Rajkishore, Sachari, and Sumati Priya. Now, Maharaj brings up in the answer he gives, there's this word called automatic advancement. So don't worry, you just chant Hare Krishna, and you're automatically, everything's going to happen automatically. Now, yeah. So Prabhupada writes, here's a quote from Prabhupada. When a devotee revives his loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it should be understood that he has been successful in achieving the desired goal of life. At that time, everything is automatically done by the mercy of the holy name, and the devotee automatically advances in his spiritual life. So that could give the impression that, as we said, you don't worry about all the details, just chant and you're automatically going to advance. Prabhupada says it, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 7, text 84, in the purple. Then Maharaj brings up the point that to think the term automatic advancement means that you just mechanically follow the routines of devotional service and you're hoping to attain perfection. So in other words, you're just mechanically engaging in the routine, the routines, external routines of devotional service, but you're ignoring Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra, yeah, which teaches all about these things. You understand? And then you're ignoring, yeah. So in other words, they think, why should we know about offences in the stage of devotion? Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, we'll become lovers of Krishna. No, but the Sastra is not telling us to do that. Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra laying out, describing to us the dangers. There's the 10 offences. Yeah, and as we all correctly said, we have to know where we are, we know where we're going, we have to know the dangers. Yeah, it's not just. And then if we apply it, then we will automatically advance. If we're avoiding the offences, if we're educating ourselves about how to associate with Vaishnavas, if we're educating ourselves into that culture, then then advancement will be taking place. Yeah. Okay, so shall we move on from offences?
So that's sorry.
Yeah.
Be an offense like to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, like, oh, I'll chant, I'll just forget everything else and I'll just chant.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that we can bring that in, isn't it?
That's offense.
It doesn't matter so much, okay, I did this, I ate this, I did this, I did that, but don't worry,
I chant.
When it comes to the weekend, I'm going to chant. I'm going to chant 32 rounds.
Yeah.
If I go to watch this film, if I watch this film, it's okay. Tomorrow I chant 32 rounds.
Yes. That kind of mentality. Yeah.
You're right. Not right. Yeah.
But if you're actually jeopardizing your spiritual path, those things.
Yeah. So Robert Chanavali brought up a good point. This is to commit sins on the strength of the holy name. So we could bring that in here, where one is not being very attentive to the culture and to the practice of devotion. That's okay. I just chant Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it happens. Sometimes it can be, devotees can normalize offenses. They do it so often that it becomes a norm. It becomes normalized to them, and they don't really realize the effect that it's having on others and the community. That's them become their norm of interacting. Unfortunately, yeah. And then, but it won't last. Okay. Anything else on these points?
Prabhu, can I say something, Prabhu, which I don't know whether it is
Yes.
I was thinking if who even though that person who offended, if the person really repent and he's humble, then there is a chance that they could come back and but again serving the devotees whom he offended.
Yeah, that's the whole that's what should be done, and that's what we're advised to do. That is the correct way. You know, we become repentant and we beg for forgiveness. And as we already mentioned, still there may be some time. There may be some time because we're in a feverish condition. Maybe sometime, but what you're saying, Marvani Mamata, is yes. And I think we all understand that. That is the correct way. That's the correct thing to do if we have made some offenses. Yeah.
And
Then
also
we
I was thinking,
stated.
again for the 13, it's like an elephant bath. You just like the elephant going and taking a bath, again coming and rolling. So if you simply chant Hare Krishna, we automatically becomes lovers of Krishna. It doesn't apply like that.
Yeah, that example is given as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like an elephant bathing,
yeah.
covered in dust, bathes, comes out and throws dust over its back again.
Yeah.
What's the point? Okay, let's now on the subject of semblance of devotion. I was studying this today and finding the answers, copying and pasting and searching. So here's the first question. How does a person acquire the seed of the semblance of devotion? A bus. You can get a seed of pure devotion, or someone may get the seed of a semblance of devotion, and thereafter practice a semblance of devotional service. It starts with an inaugural seed. So how do they acquire? So how does a person acquire the seed of the semblance of devotion?
To a mercy of a devotee.
No, that's not mercy of a devotee. The mercy of a devotee is given a seed of pure devotion. This is where one's not getting the real thing, one's getting the counterfeit.
So the person will allow a weed to grow together with the seed of devotion, creeper of devotion.
Yeah. It's not, the question is a little bit tricky.
Would they ask for, like, would they go in the direction of like liberation and
Yeah, that's the result.
follow kind of tradition, you know, like people who come in and they've got this tradition in their houses and you kind of still follow.
That's it, tradition. We're getting near the answer now.
Oh, okay.
So in other words, there's many philosophies, there's many saintly persons coming from the Vedic school, outside and the Vedic school, who consider devotional service, serving Krishna or God, as a means to obtain sense gratification.
Yeah.
So if I remember when we was covering this in our class on this subject, I had a picture of these Christians who they're quite clear why everyone's coming to church. You get money to become rich. And that's what the pastors preach. You know, you can become like me. You can become, and God wants to give you wealth. What do they call it? There's a name for it. I forget what it is. It's called.
It's called Prosperity Church.
Yeah, that's it. Prosperity Church. Thank you, Mother Longer.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was studying this part, I remember I went online just so I was interested, and they're pretty upfront. You know, Jesus is gonna give you the wealth of the world. They get really emotional. But before that, we're gonna build a church. You just come forward. Jesus is come forward. Give money. And they're like that. So in other words, so that's definitely not pure devotion. So by hearing from, So then they incorporate that spirit in their devotional or religious practice. They're going to church, they're doing their prayers, but really they just want sense gratification. So that's
What
why.
semblance mean?
Yes, semblance means it looks like, but it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for instance, we described this quite a bit, like someone, someone comes to the temple, and I think I gave the example of seeing sometimes people coming, and one man, he had his jumper out like this, and he's asking Krishna for money, But he's very, he's coming into the temple, he's like touching getting the dust from every step on the stairs, standing outside the temple like this, and then coming in.
Sorry, Moody, I have to allow.
Yeah, and then going around the temple, then he comes in front of the altar with his shirt out like that, indicating wealth should come my way. So, okay, so it externally, apart from that part, it looks like devotion, but it's not, because he's in ignorance of the science of pure devotion. So it's a semblance. It looks like it externally, but it's not. But it's not devotional service. It's a semblance.
And, would also the like people like the bowls and the Nityananda advances, are they semblance?
Yeah, definitely. They're gross materialists. Yeah, remember we were describing that. Yeah, very frankly, for bringing that up. Yeah, they're gross. They are just gross enjoyers, but they do it under the guise of kirtan, the guise of singing devotional songs. But they have many wives, they have their illicit activities, no regulation, they don't chant Hare Krishna systematically, constantly. They just, so that's a semblance. It looks to the innocent, you could say, observer, when they're doing their bhajans, now maybe tears may come from their eyes, but actually it's just a semblance, because it's based on concocted knowledge. They've been given a bad seed from the very beginning. Yeah. So Prabhupada gave us a seed of pure devotion. But some persons received the seed of a semblance of devotion, and it can be purified. And that's what's discussed in that whole part. If they get association of devotees. Yeah. So what's the result? Yeah, go on, Mother.
So say some in the kirtan, like somebody's really singing so deeply, so nicely, but if their own mood is like, oh, I sing so nicely, or like that, so it's semblance, it's not.
Yeah, in one sense, it's quite sobering. I remember at the time we were studying this, it's quite sobering, because we have to reflect on our own practices.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing, is there any, is there motives for adoration and distinction in the activities that we do? So it means our devotion is mishra. It's mixed and it's not pure, because it's not solely for Krishna's pleasure. We may be doing devotional activities subtly or grossly. There may be a desire for adoration and distinction. Maybe dressing the deities because I dress. He waits till the curtains open. Everyone's going to know I dressed. Pride, So that's why this study is quite sobering. I remember Maharaj brought it up as well in that part of Sudha Bhakti Chitamani. It's quite sobering, because we may, it's part of the process of anartha-nivritti, where we may identify, not so pure motives in the activities of bhakti that we do. But at least we've been given the seed of pure devotion, and we're working towards it. Yeah. Okay, everyone's gone quiet now. Everyone's reflecting.
I'm just thinking of a person, like when that person's Guru Maharaj comes and then they'll say, oh, please, can I do after dress? They would dress. Then they would say, oh, can I do, no, somebody else would say, can I do deity greetings as well? Like, so the mood is like my Guru Maharaj there. So now studying is making me understand how.
Yeah, but we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Yeah, it's true. It's a good point, but we have to be careful and trying to pinpoint and analyze other devotees. Sometimes we may make mistakes. It may sound like, for them, their motive is that, you know, they just want their Guru Maharaj to see them doing the service which he has given. It may, but you know, so we have to be a bit careful when we study
can
this.
we learn from, like, can we realize things for ourselves?
Yeah,
from,
yeah,
for
and
ourselves. Not, don't look at the situation, but realize things for ourselves from different situations.
For ourselves, but at the same time, like that example I gave of that Hindu man coming into the temple, you know, it was quite clear cut. It's quite clear cut. But sometimes if it's within our community, I mean, it may be there, and we may observe it. Some devotees, obviously, they may be doing kirtan, and we may pick up, we may see the way they carry themselves. It may be it may be there. We may observe that, you know. But let's spend more time seeing where we are not at. That might be best, you know. Anyway, we shouldn't. This shouldn't cause us to be overcritical, but we should just have we have to have a sense of discrimination, education, and then discrimination. I know, just back to the Kash Maharaj is coming soon, isn't it? Coming soon. Back to the Kash Maharaj.
Yeah, it's coming in July.
Yeah, and he's very sadhu, like he really cuts through. He really speaks out when he sees things which are not how they should be. You know, and that's the role he's playing in our society. Is very good. We need sadhus like that, you know, who could actually keep us on track. So he points out, you know, things within ISKCON which may have gone over, you know, the
other way
into not pure devotion. So I always find it interesting to hear. So he's but he's doing that out of a sense of love and duty to Srila Prabhupada. He's not particularly doing it out of a mood of envy. Like that. He's just pointing out. So we're going both directions here. We should be aware for ourselves, but also we maybe see things that are quite obvious that we can need to learn from. Oh, I don't want to be like that. That's not so good.
More learning,
Yeah, learning, you know.
Yeah, learning from everything, like, you know.
Yeah, but just be to understand the mind of a devotee of a Vaishnava. Sometimes we make mistakes on gross things, isn't it? We forget where we left their keys, we forget this, we forget what time, this day, let alone subtle, to try and really understand the subtle movements in a devotee's mind and why they're doing things. It's not so easy, so we should be a little bit careful. You know? Tread a little bit carefully. What's the time? We've got 3 minutes left.
Sorry, I lost something which you said here.
Yeah. Sorry?
I missed something which you said he's doing for the love. Who is he, Prabhu? Because I lost the connection.
Vikash Maharaj.
Prabhu, who?
Bhakti Vikash Maharaj is known to be quite outspoken.
Yes, of course. Yes, Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
quite outspoken.
My internet not good.
But someone that's senior, we can understand is coming from a good place. Although some don't agree. that's wonderful.
But it's good that somebody's coming out with the right points, you know, instead of, okay, I don't have to do it. I mean, their gurus can do it, or this one can do it, that one do it. It's good that he is preaching so boldly, which is very good. You need speakers like that. You need.
Maharaj has been like this, I think, for 20, or I don't know, until as far as I know, Maharaj has been like that only. So.
There's other devotees as well. They're quite observant. They're Brahmins, you know. Brahmins can observe where not just individuals are going wrong, but where groups of people and mentalities are going wrong. That's the duty of Brahmins to actually guide. Another one is back to Richard Puri Maharaj as well.
Yeah, he would speak up.
Very sharp in analyzing devotees and motives and things like that. He's real sadhu, you know. So,
but the devotion is Prabhupada, right? It's for
Sorry?
Prabhupada. Their devotion is for Prabhupada and ISKCON. They want to see ISKCON going the right way. That's what their mood is.
Yeah. Especially, guess we're finishing this point, because especially now our senior Prabhupada disciples all leaving. So they're very much concerned that what they were given and what's left behind is going to continue. So they have this loving concern for our ISKCON society, that we stay on track, of pure devotional service. Anyway, big discussion. Perhaps we're paused there. It's amazing. I thought I might run out of questions, but no, because I have to type some questions up. I've got some more questions here, but here's the questions here. So thought we might catch up. No, so which question did we last? Which one are we on now?
Go down.
What are the results of the 3 kinds of resemblance of devotion?
Okay, so we just did this one.
First
Yeah?
one.
So
First one.
okay, so there's some homework. What are the 3 kinds of semblance of devotion? All right, see if you can look in the Sudha Bhakti Chitamani and find that. All right, 3 kinds of semblance of devotion that Maharaj speaks about. All right, some homework. So see if you can come up with that for next week. Okay?
Homework is this teacher is really hard.
Yeah.
He gives
That's good.
homework.
You can look in the chapter. It's called you can look in the beginning chapters on the semblance of devotion. If you look there, this actual question is asked and then it's answered.
The
What are
beginning,
the-
is it Murli Prabhu? Did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, in the beginning
Okay.
chapter.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you, Murli.